AI GTM Talks series. I'm Pratibha Jain, a growth marketing and demand gen leader in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've spent the last about 19 years at B2B companies, all the way from early stage companies to large public companies. For folks who might be tuning in to the series for the first time, it is a talk series that was launched a couple months ago by Kwanzoo, and we invite either a tech founder and explore the cool AI GTM tech they're building, or a revenue leader, like a sales leader or a demand gen leader, who talks about how they're using AI in their go-to-market strategy. Today, we have Mani Iyer, the CEO of Kwanzoo, as our speaker. In full disclosure, I'm a growth marketing advisor for Kwanzoo, and it's been exciting to see their evolution over the last 18 months or so. So I'm thrilled to be here with Mani. Before I ask him to introduce himself, just a couple of housekeeping items I'd like to get out of the way. The first is we'd like to make the session as interactive as possible. So please enter any questions you have in the chat. We'll pause periodically to address them. The second is that this session will be posted on the Kwanzoo website. And you can also view the recordings of the past sessions and the upcoming sessions on the Kwanzoo site. With that, let's get started. Hi, Mani. How have you been?
Doing well, Pratibha. Thanks for doing this. What's interesting is I've been on the other side asking the questions. I think in this series now, I think we get a chance to talk about what we're up to at Kwanzoo. So thank you.
Absolutely. And put you in the hot seat. So why don't you start with an introduction about yourself first? And I'm sure there are people in the audience who don't know much about Kwanzoo. So let's start with also what Kwanzoo offers.
Absolutely. So, we're really excited about so much of the evolution that's been happening lately, in the AI GTM space. So let me get this more into conversation mode for us. So at Kwanzoo, we've been focused on building out an AI GTM tech platform, and we also offer a companion AI GTM on-demand service for companies. And, a lot of what we're offering to the market today has been, we've been building it out over the last couple of 2 years plus, right, since early 2023. Now, if you look at our company, we've been around longer. We were one of the first in the ABM space, and so we do have that background history. Early versions of our product was more account-based advertising solutions, but more lately we've pivoted into an area which is around AI-driven, AI-powered, go-to-market automation, more on the outbound side. So if you think about what we are really all about, we're working very closely with growth marketers, demand marketers, and leaders when they partner with sales, right? Sales leadership inside sales leaders. And we're really helping them bring together all the buying signals. So we think of it as person level buying signals, company level buying signals on the website, off the website, and making all of that actionable. So we're bringing it together, have full buyer journey detail, and feed it over in what we call signal-based segments that can then be operationalized through a variety of, tools. It could be feeding it through the traditional process through marketing automation, CRM, and sales engagement platforms and tools like that, Sales Loft and Outreach and so forth. And the other we are seeing is a more, I call it, perhaps a different, more modern GTM workflow using tools like Clay and then other email engines like Instantly, Smart Lead, and so on and so forth. But so in a nutshell, that's what we're all about. It's really AI-powered go-to-market automation, more on the outbound side.
Wow, that was a lot to unpack, and there are definitely lots of tools, and we'll get a little bit later in the conversation about the tools, right, or the tech stack at your customers as well, and we can probably spend a little bit more time then. So who's your ideal customer? And you can define that in terms of segments or personas or industries, like whatever makes sense for you.
Yeah, so it's been interesting because, and I'm glad you brought up the question of, how is this landscape shaping up? So we were certainly, one of the first movers in this person-level visitor identity as a product category solution area. And certainly, we perhaps have one of the more mature, right, capabilities in that piece of what we do. So that is, again, the ability to de-anonymize traffic as it comes to your website down to the person level. That works for the US market, US audience, US traffic. And so we were one of the first to be able to offer that kind of rich capability into the mid-market. So we have mid-market customers who are software companies, IT services companies, all the way to more recently, we introduced a product-led growth PLG self-serve offering directly on the Kwanzoo website. But so we've seen, and we priced it in a way that's very, I call it, customer friendly. So we do have, a lot of SMB customers signing up for like a 14-day POC and then trying to convert there. So that's one aspect of our target audience, if you will, right? So the SMB segment ends up being software, SaaS, AI, startups, SMB businesses. Mid-market tends to be software and IT services. But one thing interesting, unique, different about our solution, vis-a-vis many out there, is we cover both B2B and B2C organizations. So we are able to source this personal level identity signals and data, both for B2B companies, B2C. So we do have some customers who are more, going after consumers who are coming in. That's more of an inbound. So it's not been an outbound motion for us, but they're coming in. So we have customers, for example, who are targeting real estate as an industry, or targeting, higher education and so forth. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that is very interesting that you serve both the B2B as well as the B2C side of the of businesses, because typically they're one or the other, depending on obviously the space the company is, they might straddle both.
Right.
But that's really cool.
Yeah, and just to finish up, the buyer for us tends to be the head of growth, head of demand gen, or it's a growth marketer, growth leader, and sometimes it actually comes from the sales leader who says, "Hey, this is interesting. I'm not able to identify buyers at the person level or the traditional tech, whether it's ABM tools and visitor ID tools, can do company level. So you want to go down to the person level. That's one." And we do have a couple of modules that go beyond on the website. We also are able to go off the website, which is based on topics of interest. We have a taxonomy of some 21,000 topics, 90,000 plus different websites. So we have another data partner that's able to tell us, person level leads for off the website, which is another interesting opportunity for you to, again, find in-market buyers for what you have. And that, again, is a step up from the more traditional ABM type of tools, which tend to stop at the company level. So these are two things. And the third thing is, again, is really account level intelligence. Because if you think about it, maybe 5%, 10, 20, up to, we've seen 5 to 40% of the person level resolution that we're able to do at an organization. And so then the rest of the people, the idea is to give at least company level intelligence to the marketer. So they can make sense of who's coming in, who's part of their ICP target audience, and then they can go on and start to action them. So.
Okay, that's a really, really solid description of your target audience. Obviously, you mentioned a lot of technology stacks and all. So if you could put this all into context for our audience and show a short demo of the platform,
Sure.
That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me do that. I'm going to switch over to a demo screen and walk people through the capability. And then I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions about, how is this different from all the other tech and out there, but we'll get into that in a bit. So if I just switch to this screen here. So this is essentially, I'm showing you all a screen. Pratibha, are we able to see this? Yes.
Good, yeah.
So this is, typically you can kick off with a POC where you can come in and configure what we call a tracking tag that you can drop on your website. And then there's a leads delivery. We have a lot of options for where the leads, as they get sourced, can be delivered. There's a lot of filtering, so advanced filtering options, which I'll get into. And then you get the leads, the demand marketer gets the leads that they can go action. Now, what do the leads look like? I figured I'll start there, right? So the W here stands for, it's a website warm lead, which is directly on the website. And ICP, of course, this is somebody from a target account, so you can set up your ICP. And we do a lot of, as you can see, detailed information, including work email, LinkedIn URL, mobile number, title information, all the way down to some company information, pages that they've visited, on and on and on. So immediately actionable data for your SDRs, BDRs, sales folks. And then, of course, you can also kick it off in outbound campaigns. We do score the data, and we do a lot around, we call it field level waterfall enrichment. The idea is one of the jobs we've taken on here is to kind of make sure the data is high quality, right? As accurate as possible. So we spend a lot of time around building, a variety of different data partners that we bring in for, because they are rich and they are accurate, right, in different areas. So that is the website warm lead. So what you see here, this is the offsite intent lead, which is when you go off the website based on topics of interest. And this is somebody where we're able to kind of tie them to both. There's somebody who engaged on your site, but we also found some engagement information off the website. If you drill down a little deeper, I just want to show you guys a sense of what kind of filtering we can do. So you can pick and choose the kind of leads you want. B2B leads with just a limited profile, just cost a credit, full profile. B2C leads, for personal email, phone, etc., or just a plain email lead. Give you a lot of control on lead capture, where you want to get the leads on your website, whether it's high value pages, specific pages, demo page, pricing page. Define your ICP, define your firmographics, right? Filters. Personas, you can define specific title keywords, inclusion list, exclusion list, traffic source detail. You can also actually have a block list of accounts that you don't want to buy leads for, right? Could be a partner, could be, some analyst firm maybe visiting your site, and also a leads block list, right? So the other thing is just to show you all, right, a sense of all the rich integrations, right? So we can send daily triggered emails, including, as you can see, leads. We also support accounts, buyer journeys, on down to writing to a lot of the different marketing automation tools, messaging. We can write to Slack, write to Teams, sales tools. Write all the valuable data, right, to Clay, Persona, and so on for Outbound. And how are we doing so far, Pratibha? Keep going.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, so let me now switch over to show you all a little bit of the the account intelligence that we can deliver on. So that if I just go here, so here, if I go here, you'll see that we can essentially show you account level data. And so that would look something like this. So essentially, the company level engagement we're seeing on the site with domains, company URLs, on and on. A lot of valuable information here, company description. I think you guys get the idea. So there's a lot of account level data. And the other exciting thing is, Pratibha, is once you have all this rich, valuable data, as I mentioned, it's really about pushing the data and making it actionable and starting to build. I think I'll show you guys a little bit more on the offsite leads, and then we'll get into the AI, call it the AI tool. So we've started building out an AI playmaker tool, right, which is the ability to all this data and then be able to action them. So if I go here a little bit, so here's the offsite leads. And this is, as I said, based around topics of interest. So you can input any of the topics of interest, like let's say it's demand generation. And what's going to happen is you get these topic keywords, and then we surface leads specific to those topics of interest. Some of these steps are similar, but then essentially we will lead you to an unlock screen. Basically, you can unlock the leads that you want. And for every lead, you can basically filter on what topic got them, into this view, if you will. So hope that makes sense. And as I said, the last thing I wanted to show you all was really this one, which is our AI Playmaker. And this is an area we've just started building out. We're super excited about it. And what this is going to help with is, if you think about a lot of the tools out there, they're really catering to, in our view, the GTM engineer or the RevOps person. We are trying to up-level this. So a growth marketer, demand marketer can use simple English language prompts and essentially build segments. And then the segments are then available. And these are signal-based segments, meaning this is based on buyer behavior on the website, off the website, and so on. And I hope that helps, Pratibha, in terms of a quick.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the demo, Mani. So I will say, in my experience, I've seen a lot of companies, they're trying to target the demand gen leader or the sales
Right.
leader, but the product is so very technical that's really difficult to use. So I like the flexibility and the ease of use in the
Yeah.
platform. And just naturally, like, what are the things that I would filter on if I'm going after a certain audience,
Yeah.
right? So that part is awesome. And then also just having both the person level as well as the account level information, and on-site as well as off-site. I know there are certain limitations about geographies, right? We can do person level outside of the US and so
Right.
forth, but still a lot of flexibility there. So yeah, I'm going to pause for a second to see if there are any other
Mhm.
questions. Any questions in the chat? Um, there is one here that says, when customers sign up for
Mhm.
Kwanzoo, what is the value customers can derive from the platform? And can you give an example by walking through a use case? So you covered some of this, Mani, but if you can expand on that a little bit, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, so I think, look, a lot of the folks are looking to understand the audience coming to their site, and they're trying to find more ICP fit, profile fit buyers that their sales team should reach out to. And so the idea that 98, 90, 98 odd percent of the folks are anonymous and trying to turn them into known so that you can fill your top of funnel with more qualified, right, website warm leads. And these are people showing intent. They're coming into your site, they're showing engagement and operationalizing that same inbound to outbound workflow. And so it turned, so the key point of value here is really SDRs and improving SDR productivity, increasing the automation of the outbound, inbound to outbound outreach to high intent prospects. And of course, key metrics would be positive responses, increasing the response rate from target prospects, getting them from MQL to SQL, so you have more meetings and qualified meetings that at the end of the day add to your pipeline. So that's really the value. People tend to measure the value in different ways. They obviously have a cost per meeting metric, or they have a number of meeting metric. And then, we do encourage folks to give it some time, right? I mean, a lot of some of the mistakes traditionally we see is sometimes, okay, it's very small sample size, small number of leads that they're working off of. You want to make sure you give it enough runway, give it enough time, and think of it as this is one more interesting insight or data point for you to work with. So we still recommend, we can get into all the do's and don'ts on the outbound sequencing side. I mean, you got to do multi-touch across channels. You got to do across email and LinkedIn and phone calls and then voice scripts and so forth. But so at the end of the day, the ROI comes down to what I just said, which is it adding pipeline? Is it automating the process so that I have less work to do? My SDRs are being more productive. My sales folks are being more productive in terms of spending time, engaging with prospects, as opposed to doing a lot of the manual work.
Right, right. And it's really, really important that, once the customer gets those leads, how do they nurture them and keep them warm, right? And educate them about their product and their, the problem that they're solving. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I'm going to move on to a slightly different topic. So, how is, in your opinion, AI transforming the MarTech space in general and specifically, right, your business?
Yeah, so as I said, there's a lot that is happening, broadly in AI for go-to-market. I mean, there's a slew of new products and technologies that we're seeing that are focused on the product marketer or the content marketer. In fact, we've had several AI GTM tech CEOs that have spoken, in fact, in this series. So folks may want to go, listen to some of those recordings into where people are trying to solve problems, right, further upstream. I think of it as there's two principal things, right? You have your growth market, demand marketers trying to bring in qualified traffic to their website. So then you need programmatic SEO. So there's tools there. Have more engagement through LinkedIn. There are tools there, and so on and so forth, right? Content marketer, product marketer focused tools. We are squarely focused on helping growth and demand marketers. Once you have your qualified traffic coming in, figuring out who these people are. So the insights and intelligence into who these people are that are actually engaging with you. We're trying to help them with that key intelligence and insight. So GTM intelligence. But then there's also outbound automation, which is, can you do more of this with fewer people, or your people are just being a lot more productive, right? So, so all the way, growth marketers themselves to be able to do things in simple natural language prompts, like we said, and building these signal-based segments, to be able to expand out the buying group, buying team, buying committee, having the right kind of segment that are then operationalized through whatever might be your sales engagement platforms or AI SDR tools. So we are focused in this space. Now, obviously, one of the other things we're trying to do is we're trying to do a roll up. What I mean by that is there's a lot of point tools that can do just one thing. Obviously, I can literally go category by, capability by capability. People look at us, they should look at us as a good, strong way to do a roll up of person level visitor identity. Example, RB2B. Now, the other interesting thing is we actually don't compete with RB2B. It turned out the leads that we source is different from the leads that you get with RB2B. In fact, we have customers using us and them as an example. If you go down to account intelligence, there are tools like Koala, but then we again believe, and we can offer really high quality account intelligence with the best match rates, best resolution rates. So there you go. So a few capabilities, do it really well, go deep. And then similarly, offsite intent leads is a more unique capability. We don't see too many tools out there that do that. And so what we are at the end of the day trying to do is do a roll up of all the key buying signals all into this one platform, so customers can rely on this one tool, one product. And people ask us, oh, then are you guys like Common Room? So what I like to say is, of course you can go use Common Room, or you can use us for these few key areas where we go rich, we go deep. And so those are your choices. So in a sense, we see there's a lot of overlapping tools. So it is, I can see from the customer point of view, it does get confusing. So we're trying to tell them, you want high quality signals on your site, off your site, and then you want to operationalize it. That's where we can come in and help you. You want to do it yourself. As you know, we have an AI GTM done with you service, so they can just buy the tech, do it in-house with some help from us. Or we have an AI GTM done for you service where we can actually do it all for them. And so that's kind of where we see this landscape of these kind of tools. And there's a lot more we can talk about in terms of where the AI comes in.
Yeah. So I was going to say that I think having a deeper dive into the MarTech space and the different tools and how they kind of fit together, I can absolutely see us doing a session at some point on that alone. So cool. So in terms of pricing, Mani, as we know, right, different companies price their products differently. Some, have it as a platform-based price. Some do a usage-based price. What kind of pricing and packaging model do you, use at Kwanzoo?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's been interesting to talk to so many AI tech founders, and we've heard many of them say that they are not ready to do so-called outcome-based pricing or per unit usage-based pricing. Many people are doing a blended model, as you know. They'll charge some for the platform, they'll charge some kind of per user, or in some cases, they certainly have some usage caps and usage. For us, we've gone with a strictly usage-based pricing or outcome-based pricing for every unit of value we're delivering. So, for example, if you buy into our tech, the tech has been set up so there is no platform fee, there is no per user fee. You can have however many number of users. It's purely based on a cost per lead. So we call it a limited profile, a full profile lead, and you're just paying per lead. It is a cost per engaged account. So if you're engaging in an account on your site, we charge for that. And then offsite intent lead is cost a few more credits because we have tons of data coming in every day. It costs us more, so it's a little bit more. So it's credits, right? 1 credit, 5 credits, you get more data, maybe 10 credits. Now, the new thing for us is this AI Playmaker, where we can set up these segments. And there, it's still early days for us, but we are testing, active segments. So set up an entire active segment and then charge for that. And I hope that makes sense. So it's going to be every point of value in the product. And the beauty of it is just one subscription, buy a bunch of credits, always keep adding rollover credits, and there you go. So we want to make it simple, easy in terms of budgeting.
Got it. So I'm going to pause here. I see some comments in the chat, and There is a
Mhm.
question. Um, it's Can you talk a little bit more about your technology or the typical tech stack at your
Yeah,
customers?
absolutely.
What are some of the integration points, right? How do you work with
Right.
them?
So if it's SMB, a very typical workflow is to go from people deploying our tech, and then they would take all the uh, you know uh, all the different kinds of signals we offer in the so-called website warm leads as a stream of data that keeps flowing, or the offsite intent leads or the account intelligence data. And they typically flows into tools, some of these modern tools like Clay, right? And in Clay, what they end
Mhm.
up doing is they will take our data in some cases that you put some qualifiers there, some business logic there, and then maybe sub-segment it, do some further validation, and then feed it into different sequences. So the idea is you can have an email touch sequence, you can have a LinkedIn outreach sequence. So email touch sequence might be into an instant lead or smart lead or a lem list, and then LinkedIn sequence would be tools like HeyReach, and then on to other tools for the outbound dialing, calling. There's a whole slew of tools, as you know, that can help customers with that. So that is a workflow in the SMB space. We've seen a good number of them deploying that model. The more you go into the mid market, we end up being the guys who have to write our data into marketing automation. So it's typically into a market automation platform or tool. And from there, it goes into CRM. And then the CRMs are typically integrated with their sales engagement platform, like an Outreach or a SalesLoft or similar. We are also starting to see some of the newer AI SDR tools, like 11x. And so there, again, all of our data gets written into CRM, and then from the CRM, you can pick up some of that information and then operationalize it through some of those tools. And just to finish the story here, sometimes some customers are using tools like what's called NA10 or Make or similar, like a Zapier, and that's when they need to push data around, and so they want to pull it out of our system using what's called a webhook. So we do have webhooks built into our platform, and through the webhook, the data comes out, and then it's pushed wherever it needs to go.
Okay, so it looks like Kwanzoo does integrate with a lot of different tech tools, and you're quite flexible depending on the customer's environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, for example, we have, there's completely different CRM tools if you go to other industries, right? So, for example, we have yet another
Yeah.
one that we've just recently integrated with, that is a very popular tool in the higher education space. None of the well-known CRM.
Mm,
The CRMs typically people talk about in the tech
yeah.
industry, but yeah.
Definitely. And we've not even talked about the B2C side. I'm sure there are also different tools on the B2C side
Absolutely.
for
Yep.
businesses. Cool. So, Mani, let's talk about go to market, right, for
Mhm.
Kwanzoo. How are you going to market? What's working in terms of channels or tactics, right, for customer adoption?
Yeah, look, I mean, we are still a young business in the sense of whatever we have out in the market. So for us, I think LinkedIn has certainly been a key channel to get our message out. So that's been one. The other thing is, as you can, here we are. I mean, so this type of podcast and video cast has been great. We also run actually a community, a small community. We call it a USA Go to Market community. We've done workshops that have been a great way to connect with founders. So we've been building up our audience in the SMB space. In the mid market, it's the traditional. You got to be at some of the larger events, live events. People need to know about you, know what you do. There's a lot of trust building, relationship building, and we ourselves are part of some key uh, larger communities of marketing leaders, sales leaders, revenue leaders, and that's been a great way for us to get to know revenue leaders and build that kind of trust. So I would say those have been our principal channels, and of course we are using our own tech to do some inbound to outbound, using
Yeah.
our own stack of connecting out to Clay and some of these newer tools to do some outreach, and trying to be
Yeah.
careful with that, of course. But yes.
Mhm. And I will say, definitely on the event side, what you mentioned, events are back in a really, really big way. And it's a great way to obviously meet not just your prospects and but also customers and see how your space, right, is kind of transforming and changing. So yeah, I think that totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
and LinkedIn has been
Um,
changing. So last year, for example, we were doing a lot of
mhm.
these short, 2-minute videos on LinkedIn, and then it's been interesting to see LinkedIn as a channel how it continues to change and evolve, and that of course is we think both an opportunity and a challenge for a lot of us out there, whether we are founders running our companies trying to scale our businesses, or
Yeah,
if it's growth marketing leaders. But yes.
yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask you a question, which I will say is probably a little difficult to answer. It is about the future of AI for GTM, right? A lot of folks would say it's changing every few weeks, if not every few days. So I'm going to ask you, like, what do you see as the future of AI for go-to-market? How is it evolving or changing, or do you think it'll, shape up in the next, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, whatever time horizon you want to give it, longer if you're comfortable doing that as well?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll be honest, what I'm seeing a lot in the early days of this, moving to more AI powered, AI based, and AI native, evolution of GTM, right? Call it the go to market process within companies.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of experimentation. I think literally a lot of leaders are experimenting in few areas, and then they're trying to see, does it work, not work. Um, I think people need to be careful with that. Sometimes the runway is too short. I mean, recently we had to recommend to one client that, hey, you got to give it a little more runway. You bring something new, you're going to put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah.
Give it a little more time, right, to make a decision. Um, and I think the importance of data, it's more than ever. You got to have good, high quality data, because no AI is going to work without high quality data. So
Mhm.
I think people will get, I think, increasingly smart about it. They'll realize that data is going to give them an edge. Having the right data partners, having, a way to operationalize, constantly keep it up, because 30% of data keeps changing every year. Person data, contact
Mhm.
data, company information, revenue information, right? So the list goes on. Um, and then a lot of the AI tools today are focused on the sell side, right? How do you do B2B selling? I haven't seen as much on the
Mhm.
buy side. So I think um, that's something I know, Pratibha, you and I have talked about it a little bit. We're also intrigued by the notion that um, the B2B buyer really wants to be in charge, right? They want
Right.
uh, folks who have something to offer to reach out to them when they are in market. But the reality is they're tired of people bombarding them with all these messages, and it's typically
Oh
getting
yeah.
ignored, right? And so that's a lot. There's a lot of chatter on LinkedIn all day long, right, about how outbound is not working, et cetera, right? So that is very true. And then the challenge for the buyer is, who do they believe, who do they trust in terms of making their selections?
Mhm.
And the traditional directory service providers, I mean, I did hear from some other folks. It's not me saying, I heard it from a really experienced industry folks, that they don't buy into any of the reviews that they see in a lot of the directory sites, because it seems to be, call it pay to play,
Oh,
payola, call it what you want. But um, and
yeah.
so the authentic, trusted reviews, if you will, is going to come through your peer network. So the question is, how can are there tools that can come help you understand what your peers are saying? What they may have
Mhm.
said. They may have written it in a community. They may have written it in a little, uh, group or private group or channel of some sort. Some way to gather all that, aggregate all that, make sense of it. I think there's an opportunity there. Uh, for us in the outbound side, we've actually started building a series of AI GTM workflows, and the workflows are all about, how do you prioritize the right accounts to go after, the right prospects of those accounts to go after. For folks listening, we're of course more than happy to share these AI GTM workflows that we've been building, and we're going to continue to build that out, flesh that out, and then continue to
Mhm.
implement that across a bunch of clients, and continue to share that with customers. But I think
Yeah.
B2B buying and selling will continue to change and be, significantly transformed in the coming 6, 12, 18, 24 months for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you said really resonates with me, Mani, particularly the point about data, because I've been a marketing ops leader as well. And so, yeah, just, having good data and and looking at the trends in the data, right? Looking at like what's working, what's not working, and strategizing around that or trying to optimize, I think is super, super
Yeah.
important. All right, so we've talked for a bit here. I am going to wrap up with one final
Sure.
question. So obviously, a lot of companies, they're at different points in their journey in terms of AI adoption. So what is your advice to a company who's just getting started, with AI for GTM? Where would you suggest they start? And yeah, if you could talk about
Yeah.
that.
So look, I think it's really about thinking through and documenting. Just even if you have a thesis, if you very early have a thesis for whatever product solution you're trying to offer into the market, who is your ideal target customers, and working on your positioning, working on your messaging, making sure you have the right message teed up to go talk to them about. You got to have a functioning, as we all know, right? The website is still very much the anchor for engaging folks and bringing them back in. So work on that piece first. Work on your ICP definition, thesis, along with target audience, and pick one or two industries to go after. Maybe don't lock and load a little too much. Maybe do a little bit more experimentation to the extent you have bandwidth and you can accommodate and afford to do a PMF testing across more than one, right? And I'm talking, you could be a startup, series, all the way from C to Series A, B, and so forth, trying to build and grow and scale. You could even be a more established business, trying to maybe, again, experimenting with a new product, new solution, et cetera, et cetera. The point remains the same. Get your data strategy right first before you invest so much energy, effort into actual communication and outbound and nurturing and right, educating the market and so forth.
Yeah.
I think that the basics stay basics, and people need to pay attention to that. Right? And use AI everywhere you can, but use AI more as call it a thought partner, companion. See if you can improve on what you're already doing. I know there's a lot of hype around AI agents, but leave the hype aside. Use it, effectively where it can really help you. Account research,
Yeah.
and goes on. Yeah.
Right. And I'd say, especially for smaller companies, right, the resources are very limited, whether it's people resources, right, dollars for investing in programs and all that. So, yeah, it's really doing some experimentation and finding out what's working and, going deep on those areas and pulling back from things that aren't working. That's okay. It's okay that not everything is going to be, successful.
And yeah, the other thing I would say is work with guys. Look for smaller shops, boutique shops, really high quality independent consultants or fractionals or whatever. Keep an eye out, right, and work with them because they that can really speed things up for you. So you don't make them. They've been through it multiple times. They've made the mistakes.
Yeah.
So hopefully it help cut down your cycle time of making that wrong. Adopting the wrong approach or wrong strategy that's already been there, done that, tested, and abandoned or ruled out. So yeah,
Definitely. Any final thoughts before we close, Mani?
no, I think this is an exciting time to be in this business. AI for go to market. I'm super excited. We actually have a series of these talks, as you know, teed up, Pratibha, right? We have 5 different speakers already teed up all the way till early May. So hopefully folks can come back and continue the conversation with us and as we keep doing a deep dive into different areas and help both educate the market and folks out there, and we learn together, and then we also help them make decisions faster in terms of what they really need. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm happy to put
Yeah,
up the slide for us to be able to stay in touch with folks. Yeah, next.
definitely. So, yeah, if anyone has follow-on questions, right, feel free to reach out to Mani or to myself. I definitely want to thank the audience for joining. Thank you, Mani, so much for an informative session, and really look forward to seeing folks on future episodes.
All right. Thank you. Bye for now.
All right.